Hey guys, Dr. Kyle Loveless here. Today we're going to talk about how do you raise a healthy family. This is a question that almost every patient wants to know because we care about our families. We want our families to grow up and be healthy. We don't want to deal with things like viruses and sicknesses and colds all the time. We don't want to deal with things like ear infections, and we definitely don't want to deal with the serious stuff like cancers and diabetes and all the other stuff that we're seeing in our kids today, in our families today. And so there's some specific things that we have to do. It's just like anything else. If you plan for success and you follow a certain plan, you're more likely to actually get results there. Whereas if we don't have that plan, we just kind of take it by day, we tend to end up like everyone else. If we're doing what everyone else is doing, we're going to get what everyone else is getting. So it's very important that we make these specific changes today. Hey, make sure you like this channel. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. If you want our inflammation ebook, go below and it can teach you 10 ways to find out if you're inflamed and 10 things you can actually do to deflame your body as well. Very important. Most all disease comes from inflammation. All right, so raising a healthy family. I put down 6 things that I just, as I was brainstorming, what do we do for our family? We have 2 little girls and a little baby boy that's 4 months old. Our second youngest daughter is 2. Our youngest daughter is 2 and our oldest daughter is 5. And so we've been doing this for about 5.5 years now. And so, we used to always teach people how to raise healthy kids, but we never raised healthy kids because we hadn't had them. Well, now we have, and there's some specific things that you can do to really make a big difference. Okay, so we've 5.5 years into this thing. We've had about one major fever, meaning we've had the little teething fevers and things like that, but we've had one major fever that lasted about 2 days. Okay, and when I say 2 days, one night of really intense, the next day was a little bit better, and then everything cleared out. And then we've had one night of throwing up, which means all night long Isabel was throwing up. So that in 5.5 years, those are the only 2 things we've had. We haven't had ear infections, and that's big because Isabel, our youngest daughter, has Down syndrome, and with Down syndrome, her ear canals are much, much smaller. They build fluid, they build earwax up very, very easily. And she's never had an ear infection. She's had fluid buildup, but it's never been infected. And there's specific reasons why we've been able to get have that happen with our family. It's because of how we take care of things and how we do things with our family. So I want to share that with you guys today. So the first thing that I would say that by far that I think is the most important thing, the thing that we've seen, it's hard to rate these things, but one of the most important things that has really made that big difference is our kids have been under chiropractic care. They've been getting adjusted by myself or my wife since the day they were born every single week. So literally the day they were born, each one of them got adjusted. We checked their spine, and people look at that and they say, well, why would you adjust a baby? They don't have pain. Guys, chiropractic care, one of the last things that we do for patients is just get rid of pain. That's 9% of the nervous system, right? Many people have problems for years before they feel pain. Some people have pain and the problem really isn't that bad. So it's not a good indicator, even though it can help with pain. With kids, the reason we adjust them and check their spine the day they're born is because they were just born. That's 80 to 100 pounds of pressure, especially in the medical world that we live in today, that you're going against gravity when the baby's born. They're being pulled out, or if it's a C-section, they're being pulled out even more intensely and causing all kinds of issues. And so the spine gets out of alignment. The spine gets locked up. And so we go in and we actually check the baby. And it's not, and we have videos on our YouTube channel you can go back and watch, but it's not just an adjustment like you would with an adult. It's a very light, specific adjustment to specific areas of their spine. One of our number 1 referrals from pediatricians in our office, 2 number 1 referrals, that doesn't even make sense. 2 main referrals is for ear infections and for constipation for babies and for kids. And I'll tell you, kids have come in, haven't used the restroom in a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, and we'll adjust them and they'll poop right there on the table. I mean, literally it happens like that. And it's because the nervous system controls the body. And so your brain and your spinal cord, they send signals out to every organ, tissue, cell in your body. And so from day one, you want that to be working at a maximum level. And that's why we adjust our kids since the day they're born every week. And now, in doing that, it boosts the immune system. It helps the body be in a homeostasis or balance, which allows your immune system to function properly. It allows your digestive system to digest food in a good place. It allows kids to sleep. It allows the immune system to work so you don't get things like ear infections and sinus congestion and all these other things. So I think that's one of the most valuable things we've given our kids is chiropractic care. And so if you have children, please, please, please get them to a good corrective chiropractor that's going to work with them at a once a week or every other week basis. And that's been our way of doing it once a week, is because, I mean, look, we're going through life, we're having falls, we're having accidents, kids fall all day long. And so we check them regularly. If they're sick, I've had, when Eleanor had a fever, I adjusted her about 6 times that day. And it's not, we're just checking the spine, making sure every joint's moving, because 90% of the stimulation to your brain comes from your spine moving. And every time we adjust her, it boosts that immune response. And that's why their kids get over these things so quickly. Okay. So number 1 is chiropractic care. If you don't have a good chiropractor that you're working with, come see us at Queen City Health Center. We love helping kids, and it's very fun. It's very effective as well. The second part that we've done is breastfeeding. So, well, first of all, if we go back, I guess it would be how they were born. So we did a home birth, and Eleanor, we ended up at the hospital. For the other 2, we had home births. We did everything to make sure it was vaginal, not C-section. We did chiropractic care for my wife going into it. And so a good birth, number 1, nothing afterwards, meaning we didn't hand our kids off to a doctor to take them away and start pumping them full of drugs and vaccines and things like that, or putting this eye stuff on them, K2 shots, any of that stuff. So our kids have never had a pharmaceutical in their body. And that, I think that's a huge part too. They've never had any kind of medication, no pharmaceuticals, and they've never had any kind of medical intervention at all, right? And the cool part about that is this is how God created our body to be. It's made with everything it needs. It's made to heal. It's made to function. It's powerfully made, and that's what it does. It doesn't need extra. He didn't mess up and say, oh, I forgot to put this extra part of your immune response in, take a vaccine. And the truth is the vaccine actually will suppress the immune response, especially with Isabel. Isabel with Down syndrome, kids with Down syndrome typically have a lesser immune system, a suppressed immune response. And so she has this suppressed immune response, and doctors would say, oh, her immune system's, this is what they tell parents with kids with Down syndrome. Oh, her immune system's low. We got to get her vaccine so it'll help her immune system. However, if you look at the label on the actual vaccine, it says contraindications, immunosuppression. If your immune system is not strong, you can't create antibodies, which is the whole point of a vaccine. So I wish doctors would learn what they're actually giving people instead of just going with the motto of vaccines help your immune system. Sorry guys, it makes me really aggravated because I see kids coming in with crazy health issues that came because they got those vaccines, because those kids already had a suppressed system. The vaccine caused damage because they couldn't handle it. And it's not creating antibodies. Your immune system has to be strong to adapt. If you're suppressed, it's not adapting to the vaccine anyways. All right, side note. Now, so what did I say? Okay, so a good healthy birth, they've been getting breastfed since the day they were born, right? And so all of our kids, well, William's not 2 yet, but our first 2 had breast milk until 2 years old, okay? And a little bit after that, but all the way for 2 years, they were getting fed breast milk. We didn't feed them actual people food until about 8 to 9 months in. And we try to keep that as far out as possible because kids have a leaky gut when they're born. A baby's born with a leaky gut. Okay, it's just how it is. It doesn't actually close up until they get older. And so those foods that you give them really, really early, that can many times cause a lot of different food allergies. Now watch this. If you go to your doctor, they're gonna say start at 6. There's no actual enough studies that have proven it or said this is when you start eating your kids. It's just kind of been known that you start about 6 months, you start getting them food. That's it. There's no real good research on this, but with the way the body works, again, the gut is still leaky until about a year. So that's why we base it on, we don't give our kids food until they're about a year old or getting into that year-old mode, okay? So strictly breast milk, it's the most powerful antibiotic. It's the most powerful nutrient-filled thing on the planet. And by the way, it's a high % of saturated fat in there. So for all you guys that say saturated fat's bad, what's a good percentage of breast milk is saturated fat. So there's that. But the body's made to heal itself, and so we don't need all these other things on the outside. If you're not able to breastfeed, figure out maybe you can get breast milk from someone else, or at least we have a formula that you can create that's closer to breast milk. But we've always stayed away from the formulas that are on the market that you get at the grocery store because they're super toxic. High fructose corn syrup, soy, which causes all kinds of hormone and estrogen issues. I mean, it's crazy, right? And so breast milk, I think that is one of the other reasons our kids have been so healthy. The third reason I feel that way, that they're healthy, is because we've never really given them sugar, okay? And I remember on the first birthdays, I'll go to people's first birthday parties, And sorry if I sometimes if sound like I'm talking down. It's just our perception of things is a little bit different. So when we go to a birthday party and someone's first birthday and they're eating this sugary filled cake, it breaks my heart because that baby doesn't even know what sugar is. The only reason they're eating the cake is for the parent. It's not for the kid. It's for the parent to have these memories and these pictures and all these other things of that birth. But the problem is that stuff is incredibly toxic. It's like cocaine to these kids, guys. And so we're at this early age, we're giving them this refined sugar, preservatives, all this other junk. And then we wonder why they have ADD. We wonder why they have all these allergies and immune system issues. We live in a toxic world and we got to prevent as much as possible. So for our kids, their birthday cake was a watermelon carved out with some homemade coconut whipped cream that Holly made with coconut milk, no sugar in it. And to tell you the truth, they kind of played with it and didn't really eat it much anyways. And so, but their first year of life, their first 2 years of life, no sugar. There's no reason to give them cupcakes and candy and all this other stuff. They don't even know what it is. That's what I've always said. People say, well, oh, you're suppressing your kids. They're not getting the memories. They love their life. They love their food that they eat. They eat vegetables, they eat fruits. My daughter Isabel loves strawberries. That's her candy, right? I look at the way the way God created things and say, okay, so our vegetables, our meats, this is our food that helps us thrive and everything else. And then our fruits, kind of like, there's not a cake tree or cookie trees. There's the fruit stuff, right? The fruit trees and the fruit bushes and all these things. I see those as kind of like our dessert, right? So our kids get that for dessert. And then as they gotten older, Eleanor went to preschool, and people would come in. It would be somebody's birthday, and so they'd bring them cupcakes. So we'd prepare for that. We tell the teacher, hey, our child doesn't eat any of these foods, so please don't feed her anything that we don't give you. And so we'd always have snacks there for her. They have these little sugar-free gummies that she would get if other kids were having candy. So we'd find ways to get around that. And then as she's gotten older, we've introduced some sugar, but it's never refined sugar, and it's always clean, it's always organic. We try to use other sweeteners like monk fruit and other things. So all these things take learning, they take time, they take really energy. It takes energy to make sure that your kids are healthy. It's a lot easier to say, yeah, go ahead and eat that. It's no big deal this time. But the problem is that no big deal this time becomes almost every day, especially when they start school, because almost every other day it seems like somebody's having a birthday and they're bringing in cake and cookies and all this other stuff. So that's the other reason, is their diet has been super clean. Fruits, vegetables, and healthy meats. And they've had food allergy testing, so we know what foods their body doesn't do good with, and we stay away from those foods. So that's it. Chiropractic care, breastfeeding. Then when they start eating foods, we stayed clean, we stay away from sugar, and we don't eat a bunch of candies and things like that. The next one is, and I think this one's really big as well, is screen time. One of the easiest things as a parent is to say, here, watch this, because it gives us a break. And I feel you on that one. Trust me, I got 3 kids. When they take some time to watch a movie or something like that, it makes my life so much easier. But we only do that once a week. So on Fridays, they get to watch a movie. So it's movie day. We made it movie night. They don't have iPads. They've never even sat on an iPad before. They don't look at our phones. My kid's not getting my phone to stare at because these things are really, really hard on their body. This screen here, this blue screen, actually creates a stress response. And if you start reading the research on this for kids and what it's doing to their brains, it's crazy how much it's messing up their brains. Number one, that's the blue light and the stress and the being in this position and all that. And the kids' spines are a mess right now because they're like this. So instead of saying, okay, let's get on that screen. Well, actually, I'm sorry. So you're looking at that screen. So that screen is part of it. But then here's the other part. Everything that's on those shows, I know we watch the shows and we approve those shows. But the truth is you see your kids act the way these characters on the shows act. So like, I'll take Peppa Pig, for example. Anytime my daughter would watch Peppa Pig on movie night, it seemed okay. I mean, we watched it, seems okay. The rest of the weekend, she was just a whole different person. She was like a brat. And so they're actually imitating these things on TV. So if your kids are watching TV all the time, that's who's raising your kid. That's what they're actually engaged in. Tell-a-vision. That's what TV is. It's tell-a-vision. They're giving you a vision to your kids. That's what the whole process is created for. And so there's certain things we just don't let our kids watch. They're not going to watch Disney. And the reason again, I'm talking about raising a healthy family. I'm giving you what we did. You might not think that's right. You might think that I'm wrong here. But over and over again, Disney has had a history of just inundating their kids with some crazy stuff. And when I'm watching those shows, and I've seen some of these things that Disney comes out with, it turns our kids into brats. It turns our kids into brats. The father's always missing, right? Somebody always dies in the beginning. Kids become these, like the Peter Pan concept of kids become like against parents and all this. It just kills the whole hierarchy of a family. I think Disney is one of the most toxic things to our kids. So that's my opinion. You can scratch that off of this suggestion if you want, but that's my opinion. So I highly recommend looking into Disney. And you can I mean, they're the stuff they're doing now. They're making it to where there's homosexuality on Disney and all these other things that they're trying to inundate our kids with how to think, how to become gender neutral and all these other stuff. So they're all part of this whole woke agenda, and I'm against that. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we need to stick with the nuclear family. So if you want a healthy family, you got to watch what your kids are watching and give them limited time to watch it. Right? They need to be taught by us. They need to be outside playing. They need to be using their brains for good things, not just staring at a screen. So this one right there is going to hit some nerves. I guarantee you that hit nerves. I guarantee you that some of you probably don't like me anymore after saying some of that, but I'm telling you what we do and why we do it. Okay? And it's been very successful for us so far. Okay? And now, can things happen? Absolutely. And actually, I'll take a step back with that is, when it comes to things like vaccines, when it comes to medical intervention, most people don't want their kids to have chemicals in their body, right? Fair enough. It's all chemical. We don't want to put chemicals in our kids' body. I think that's fair enough to say. But what happens is we get in this fear mode that what if, right? Like everybody's always taking these vaccines. Everybody's always taking these antibiotics. Everybody's always done what their doctor has told them to do. And that's just kind of how it is. That's how I grew up. That's how you grew up. The problem with that is the thing that happens is even though we don't want chemicals, it's how we've always done it. And so when we get into the fear mode, our kid's sick, right? We're in this fear mode, or that we've been told vaccines are what keeps them from getting sick. And so we're in this fear mode of what if I don't and they get sick? Guys, there's a certain level of faith that we all have to have. We can't control everything. Medicine wants us to think we can control everything. You can't control everything in the human body. It's not possible. And it's not how it's set up. Here's how we do it. We do everything we can to strengthen our bodies, make sure it's got everything it needs to be healthy. We try to remove as much interference as possible through chiropractic care, through removing stressors in our kids' lives and building good joy and things that kind of knock out that stress. But at the end of the day, something can happen. And there's a faith. So we do everything we can do that we can control, and then we have faith in God for the rest. We have more faith in God and the power that made our bodies and heals our bodies than we do in man's potions and lotions. Remember that. More faith in God than we do in man's potions and lotions. Okay? If you're giving your kids antibiotics because you're scared, then there's more faith in that, right? So, man, raising healthy families is turning into maybe too intense, I don't know, but this is how we do it. The next thing on the list is the next thing on the list is supplements. What do we give our kids in terms of supplements? And it's not a lot. We give them vitamin D3, and these are actually recommendations that our natural pediatrician does as well. But we give them vitamin D3, and we give them some organic gummies that don't have sugar in there, that have all the multi vitamin and mineral. And then we give them fish oil. So DHA, EPA fatty acids are crucial for brain development. And so they get fish oil on a regular basis. And then I think that's it. Maybe if they're fighting something, maybe they have like a little bit of sinus congestion for a day or something, or they're teething, maybe we'll do some vitamin C. But for the most part, that's it. It's just those few things. And that makes sure that they have the nutrients that they need. It makes sure that maybe if there's deficiencies in our food, that they're getting what they need, and their vitamin D3 levels are up because they just don't get outside enough. It's just we try our best, but they don't. And so I think that's it. The only other thing I would add is sleep. And I would say for us, that has actually been the hardest one is because I don't get home till about 7:30 at night. And so getting our kids to bed on time at 8:30, which ideally would be a little bit earlier, but we also want to spend time with them. So 8:30 is when their kids go to sleep, but they really need about 12 hours of sleep at night. And that's probably for us been the one that's been the hardest to maintain and make sure that we get. But it is very important. So making sure your kids are getting plenty of sleep in a dark room, away from Wi-Fi, with clean air, a clean environment. That's really big. I've had patients who their kids are having all these issues with focus and everything else, and we find out that their Wi-Fi monitor is actually right near their kid's bedroom. They move that, and everything starts to change. Their kids start to sleep good at night again. Right? It's a negative. It's an EMF energy coming across, and it stimulates our cells, can keep us awake, and cause other health issues. Cool. So that's how we raise a family, have a healthy family. Sorry if I got too intense there for a little bit, but I'm passionate about this because I know that if you make these shifts, if you make these little things that are starting to change and you discipline ourselves to really stick with it, even though when it hurts, even when it seems like other parents think we're weird, to me, this isn't weird. This is our norm. This is what our norm should be. I think this is how God created us to raise families and take care of our bodies. And so it just takes shifting our perspective and keeping doing that over and over again until we get to a point where it's just normal and it's just easy. It does become easier. There's times where it's harder, birthday parties and things like that. But in general, it's pretty easy. We just bring food wherever we go. If our kids are, going to go to Sunday school and they're giving them goldfish, well, we have something else in advance. Our kids know it. They're excited about it. They like it anyways. And it all works out. Now, as they get older, this will probably get a little bit harder. But for right now, before they're 5 or 6 years old, they don't know the difference anyways. They're fine. As they get older, and now you don't want to be a controlling parent, I get that. And so we'll give them some leniency. We'll let them make some of their own decisions. But at least we're giving them a good core, and they know where they come from. They know who they are, and they know what is healthy and what's not healthy. So they get to make that choice then. All right, you guys have an awesome day. I hope that was helpful. Start to make those shifts and changes. Get into our office at Queen City Health Center or call us. We'll do consults on the phone to help you through this process. It's not easy, but if you do it, it will make a big difference and you will be so happy that you did long term. All right, you guys have an awesome day.